Jay and I were sitting in 3A this year, with 2 weeks of Chinese left to go before mid-years. We were sitting in class after one of our 小考试, little tests, which comprised everything we'd learned over the whole year. But that makes it easy, Miss Tan said. No surprises. Well, either way, after we finished, she went to the front of the class and began writing characters in large font on the whiteboard. You're working hard, she said. But to get through the material we'll need a new class motto for the next few weeks. She stepped aside so we could try to read the characters written. Fast, horse, add. Then some character I'd never seen before. No problem, she said. Cai, guess. What do you need to make the fast horse even faster? Well, Jay and I sat for a second, thinking about this question, which has clearly been meditated on for millennia by the great sages of China, and began shouting out our guesses. Caring, Jay tried. Compassion, I added. Hard work, love, carrots. But at every guess, Teacher Tan would smile and shake her head until finally, out of guesses, she went back to the board and wrote the answer. Whip. Fast horse, add whip. Or, to put it more gracefully, to spur the flying horse to full speed, which, like many Chinese idioms, sounded very nice until we realized that we were the horse, which made her the whip-wielding rider, which hopefully was metaphorical, but neither of us were up enough on our modern Chinese history to know for sure. Well, long story short, it was a metaphor. Jay and I are both okay, and that's been true for all of our 4 years at Commonwealth. Somehow, the school has been able to spur its students to incredible speeds without the spur. We're able to have a strong, supportive community that at the same time is made up of people who independently do inspiring things. My mom always says everyone has the same 24 hours a day. It's just a question how you use them. From the second I got to this school, I was in shock at what the kids were able to do with their 24 hours. On top of the required sports and hours of homework, Sophie goes to and dominates policy debates, Alina wins national riding competitions, Tamsin even literally goes and spurs horses to full speed while at the same time doing tricks on their backs. Almost every week at recess, Mr. Wharton will announce some new achievement that some kid has accomplished, being great at things I never even knew existed. It takes huge amounts of courage for a group of kids to say that they will put on a Sondheim musical, but to actually make it happen, to actually make it great, well, that takes something much more. And that's one of the things that makes Commonwealth special. It puts you in an environment in which you are surrounded by people driving themselves and others to ever greater accomplishments. But what makes Commonwealth great isn't just the Herculean feats its students push themselves to accomplish every day. It's just as much the little things that kids personally take the initiative to do that makes the school what it is. The first time I recognized this was sometime during the first week of school, freshman year, when I was trying to get a drink. Now, I already knew I could go to the basement and get hot chocolate at any time, but as someone who went to public school, this, while wonderful, wasn't mind-blowing. Private schools, as I had seen in the movies, were supposed to have fancy things. No, what blew my mind was when I, on maybe the third or fourth day of school, went up to one of the many bubblers around school and saw that there were no cups. Now, of course, that's not very exciting. At my old school, the bathrooms were always out of soap or paper towels or some other vital thing. But it's what happened after that was so astonishing. After my next class was over, as I was walking through the Dartmouth lobby, I stopped, dead in my tracks in awe. The cup dispenser at the bubbler was full again. Never had I ever seen a problem, even such a small problem as lack of cups, addressed so quickly. This is a pretty neat place, I thought to myself, wondering how the school accomplished such a nifty trick. Well, as I found out, it wasn't a trick at all. When someone found the cup dispenser empty, he would go over to where the cups were stored, grab a stack, and fix the situation. There is no rule that says this should happen, and I've never actually heard anyone say that this should happen, but it does. It's not fun to do, but in the same way that I think Commonwealth kids realize there's a purpose to homework, we realize there's a purpose to taking care of the school and each other. Whether it's setting up for lunch or showing a visitor where to go, everyone understands what they're supposed to do, and for the most part, they do it. The result is a fertile, happy place. There is a mentality of personal hard growth, hard work, and community spirit that becomes infectious. Teachers know all the work they've put in will be appreciated, and kids know that they will be given the benefit of the doubt if things don't go perfectly. There is no downside to trying. The combination of these two things, the combination of kids powerfully venturing out into the world while at the same time keeping an eye on our inner school community, means everyone can try their best at hard problems without fear of failing. Mr. Merrill always says that one of the greatest feelings he's ever known is seeing his students return to Commonwealth after the first ever day of school some 50 years ago. And they all came back, every single one of them. He'll shout with glee. And while returning to this building is now standard procedure. In a more important way, 50 years later, we're still coming back. Whether it's learning how to close read a difficult text or writing a complex mathematical proof, it is often the most difficult parts of Commonwealth that we cherish the most. They are the things we hungrily return to. Whether someone tells a story one too many times or tries something a little too ambitious, the school doesn't leave you to fail. It always looks behind, it hopes and helps you catch up. I remember the summer after freshman year, sitting at home, thinking about the formidable geometry final I felt sure I just failed, wondering if the school would let me return. Instead, a few weeks later, when my comments finally arrived, affirming that I had indeed not done well. Mr. Sherry finished his report saying he looked forward to teaching me in calculus, a class I would take junior year. I would have to run faster, of course. Everyone here can run faster. But he welcomed me back. In my experience, Commonwealth has been the perfect padded racetrack, allowing us to gallop without fear, to bring the flying horse to full speed.